I just want to start by thanking everybody for taking the time out today to come to this, and also understand that I'm not a natural trainer. I'm more of a conversationalist, and I find it even weirder that I've got lots of people with their cameras off, not actually talking. So I may get nervous, but feel free to at any point, sort of, if you've got some questions, unmute yourselves and just kind of interject and say it. I will try and keep an eye on if you put your hand up, but there's a chance I won't see it. So my name's Alicia. I'm the Partnership Development Manager for Change, Grow, Live. We are the structured substance misuse service for across Northamptonshire. Our mission is to help people change the direction of their lives, grow as individuals and live their life to its full potential. Our values, we have 3 values, and they are to be open, bold and compassionate. And our vision is to develop, deliver and share a whole person approach that changes society. Those are 4 of our Northamptonshire staff. They're not models, they're actual staff members. I cannot hear anything, but I will follow the slides.
I can hear you fine, Alicia.
Okay,
I don't know.
I just panicked then.
I would recommend for that individual to sort of leave the session, then come back in, and hopefully, yeah. Thanks, Jodie.
Thanks for putting that in the chat. Harm from drugs and alcohol. So harm from drug and alcohol affects adults, children, families and communities across Northamptonshire, as we all well know. Drug misuse puts pressure on the NHS, mental health services and other local services. The current 10-year drug strategy is a positive step forward, and it sees those in Change, Grow, Live serves as people and not as problems. Too often, people who use drugs and alcohol face stigma and prejudice, which makes them reluctant to ask for help. When people are seen as individuals instead of defined by their drug or alcohol use, their treatment and recovery journey becomes less challenging. I think overall the thing to understand is actually drug use in Northamptonshire is a massive problem, and actually there are services out there to help. But what we must do is face that stigma and prejudice that people have, so that they feel able to access services that they so vitally need. So Change, Grow, Live have provided structured drug and alcohol treatment for adults across Northamptonshire since 2013. We're part of the national charity, Change, Grow, Live, but locally, many of our service users know us as S2S or Substance to Solution. We have 4 hubs, so they are in Northampton, just across from the hospital, Wellingborough on Oxford Street, Kettering on Carrington Road, Carrington Street, and Corby along Rockingham Road. We also run 4 satellite hubs, so Daventry we are at fortnightly, Brackley monthly, Rushden weekly, and Northampton East will be fortnightly. So in all of those places we go out to GP surgery, 3 GP surgeries and 1 community venue, and we deliver a level of service in that area, but just not on a regular basis. Across all of the sites, we've got around 140 staff members, and we support an average of 3,000 service users per year. This year, what we saw 3,367 people. We are made up and we have a drug and alcohol treatment system. So it's not just about the service that we offer. We also have a family offer. So that's Family Support Link. So they work with children above the age of 5, but they also support families, carers and close friends of those with substance misuse issues. So to make sure that the people around that person that's using substances have the support that they need. The Bridge, many of you will know about them. They are a mentoring program that basically offers like peer mentors and volunteers that give them physical activities to like complete. We talk about diversionary activities that they also do, alongside or independent of a mentor and relationship. Engage, so they work alongside Aquarius. Aquarius offer 2 of our local provisions within drug and alcohol treatment system. So we've got Engage and then Aquarius that deliver training. So many of you may have been on the drug and alcohol training that Aquarius offer, but they offer another various other drug and alcohol related training. But they also deliver our young people service, so anybody up to the age of 18, and then a specific group of people between the ages of 18 and 25. So in that kind of transition period, they actually run that service. Part of also the other element of our drug and alcohol treatment system is NDAS. So NDAS supports men and women, as well as many children, to recover from the trauma of domestic abuse. We all sit under STAR. So STAR is a single point of access to all the services that I've just spoken about and ours. What STAR offer is a one-point referral system with both a telephone line and an online referral form. I would say when we're talking about professional referrals, our online referral form is probably the way that I would be supporting a professional referral to come through. The only reason being is that it gives you an audit trail to say that you've completed that referral, and what it means is that we can then feed back to you guys that we've had that referral and whether that person's engaged. It also then leaves that phone line open for anybody that's in crisis around their drug and alcohol to actually have somebody on the end of the phone to speak to. So when you make that professional referral, online referrals are often quicker and easier route than the phone line. We have a limited number of phone lines, so there's only two phone lines that can ever be going at any one period of time. Therefore, you'll be put on hold. So actually, by the time you do that, a lot quicker and easier just to put it online. What happens then is a member of our engagement team will contact the individual and offer them treatment. We have no waiting times for assessments unless that person needs a specific date and time, obviously, because we try and work around what that person needs. So that individual can either drop into service, they can have a booked assessment that's in person, or we can even do it online if need be. Ideally, it would be face-to-face, just because there are some clinical elements that we need to do to kind of assess that person. If you do it online through the STAR referral form, we provide feedback as to whether that person engaged with the assessment. We only give you like a yes or no we only give you like a yes or a no to whether that person engaged, unless that person then gives consent, in which case we're starting a really collaborative approach with that person. Treatment pathways. So when somebody comes through the door, we try and ascertain as much about them as we possibly can. This isn't because we're just being nosy, but it's to offer them a really good level of treatment. We have a lot of treatment pathways. The reason that somebody might use substances is so diverse. There's a whole range of reasons why somebody gets to the point where they're misusing substances. So we want to ensure that we offer as many personalised treatment options as possible. That means there's lots and lots of different pathways that they can follow. In general, we have a team of medics, psychiatrists, nurses, pharmacists, trained staff, lived experience roles, volunteers and peers. So we have a huge diverse range of staff. We provide structured clinical element to service users treatment. So we can deliver on opiate substitute treatment, or we can prescribe within our services. We also deliver psychosocial, motivational and brief interventions. So one of those would be like our one-to-one sessions that we have with our service users. They would be delivered by a recovery worker, group workers or recovery champions. We treat any substance, but our main pathways consist of opiate or heroin, alcohol, and non-opiate. We are confidential and we are free to access for all service users, and we have no waiting times for assessments. Do you have psychology support at all? Yes. So we have a clinical consultant psychologist, definitely consultant level. So she oversees our psychology. We have, I believe, 2 trainee psychologists at the minute, assistant psychologists. I'm going to say like a team of maybe 5 psychologists in all, but all at all different levels, but they're run by Teresa White, our consultant. So yeah, we do have psychologists. Patient contact you without GP input? If so, what would be your phone number? I'm going to get to that. But yes, a patient can contact us. We accept self-referrals. So that would be the phone line. The last slide, which will also be sent out alongside this, has got all of the various referral lines for different people, as well as the online referral form. The only caveat to that would be that if we're providing a clinical element to a service user's treatment, so if we are prescribing methadone, we would need GP consent. So yes, somebody could be engaged with us to access the group work and the psychosocial element, the psychology element. But if you wanted, if that service user stated that they wanted a clinical element, in order to obviously safely prescribe, we need to understand what else they are prescribed from the GP. So we require a medical assessment, a medical summary from the GP, and we have to, by law, tell them what we are prescribing. So there are occasions where you would need the GP input in order to be able to safely prescribe for somebody. Drug-related deaths. It's sad fact that there were 5,448 deaths related to drug poisoning in England or Wales in 2023. I think the really big thing when we're talking about drug-related deaths is they're more than just a number. Like, every one of those deaths represents a person, a loved one lost, and a family torn apart. And those are tragedies that are felt across communities and impact society as a whole. I think recently, obviously, the deaths within Corby have been noted within sort of media, and they're just devastating to the families left behind. And they're taken so early, I believe, when people do die from a drug-related death. As mental health issues, financial struggles and inequalities, and also dangerous synthetic drugs continue to fuel the crisis, we must do everything possible to make sure harm reduction services reach those most at risk. On that, one of our biggest harm reduction, our biggest harm reduction plea is around naloxone. Naloxone is a life-saving medication, and it rapidly reverses the effects of an opioid overdose. This includes drugs like heroin, fentanyl, and prescription painkillers. It works by binding on to opioid receptors in the brain and blocking the effects of opioids, quickly restoring normal breathing in somebody who has overdosed. We provide training for service users, family members, and professionals across Northamptonshire, including recently having trained our local police force. I suppose the big thing that we want to get across is that the synthetic opioid crisis is no longer only affecting heroin users. The deaths in Corby were related to nitazines, so they are synthetic opioids, and they were individuals that you wouldn't necessarily think were at risk of overdose from heroin. Anyone can be trained and anyone can save a life. Following this, should you want training in naloxone, your team want training in naloxone, or you know anybody that wants training to administer naloxone and carry a kit, please contact us. Wraparound is one of the things that we've started running. So Change Grow Live has created an opportunity to provide an all under one roof service for anybody who may need services such as substance misuse, mental health, housing, family support, recovery support, working pensions, benefit advice, BBV treatment, or sexual health. What we do is we run them across Kettering, Corby, Wellingborough and Northampton, roughly in various different timings. So Corby is once every 6 weeks, Northampton is once a month. But what we do is we advertise that actually there's a wraparound clinic going on. We invite lots of different services in, and that means that a service user can come along to one of those wraparound events and access all the services that they may need in one place. I think it's really important that we start working together in that really collaborative approach. I think it makes such a difference for service users to not feel like, so used to feel like, oh, I go to mental health services say I'm not right for them, and then I don't know where else to turn, or I feel like I've sort of the door's been closed in my face and I don't know where to go, like how to move forward. Where in actual fact at a wraparound clinic you might be like, do you know what, we're not the right service, but actually next to me is this service, so let me introduce you to this professional, let me get you that referral right away and we can get that assessment. It's a completely different approach, but actually one that's worked time and time again before, and yeah, definitely something we want to push and promote, and get more services coming to those wraparound events so that actually we can make sure holistically that person has all the services that they need. Rough sleepers teams. So not only do we have a West Northampton homeless treatment team known locally as NHTT, but we now have a rough sleepers team in the north of Northants. So both teams consist of recovery workers, nurses and recovery champions. So all of those workers work within an outreach model. So they are out on our streets. This is one of our physical health nurses giving a BBV test to somebody in a tent. We literally go out on the streets of across Northamptonshire and make sure that those rough sleepers have rapid access to treatment. So what that means is we try and bypass some of the red tape, such as assessments. We'll sit with them and complete assessment while we're out on outreach, and look at clinical intervention as quickly as possible. We've done that as quick as 2 hours. So from start to full clinical treatment, our fastest time has been 2 hours ever. We definitely look at same day prescribing wherever possible. If we notice somebody and found somebody at 4 o'clock on a Friday, it might be quite unlikely that we would be able to do that. But as long we can still try. Those rough sleepers teams have been going since March 2021, and yeah, they just try and overcome some of the health inequalities faced by the rough sleepers across Northamptonshire. Psychosocial intervention teams. This is another one of our teams. Psychosocial intervention team is a quite posh name, but what it is it's group work. You've got about 67% higher chance of recovering should you access a group offer, because not only do we do groups good for like synergy, but actually healing from addiction requires more than just an individual willpower. It thrives in the presence of shared support, mutual understanding and collective accountability. In group work, people struggling with addiction find strength not only in themselves, but in the stories and resilience of others. It's why we have recovery champions. It's why we have peer mentors. People that have been through addiction are often the best placed people to help others that are going through active addiction. They find a synergy with other people, and it really, really helps to push people forward. And like I said, you've got a 67% higher chance of recovering should you access group work within your recovery. So definitely pushing it, although it's not a condition to somebody coming in treatment. Women at risk worker. This is Gemma Kay. Gemma is our first ever women at risk worker. So sex workers across the UK experience significant health inequalities. These inequalities affect physical health, mental health, and life expectancy. We've employed our first ever dedicated women at risk worker to work with sex workers, women being cuckooed and those being exploited. What we've been able to do within this role is offer late night outreach. So every single Thursday night, we offer a late night outreach until midnight in the summer, but 3 a.m. in the midnight in the winter, 3 a.m. in the summer. So we find that the time that sex workers are actively out in Northamptonshire actually changes depending on the season and the light. So the time that Gemma will go out actually changes. We use a local community centre that give us access late at night, and actually we try and get there to intervene and to help them break that cycle of addiction, exploitation and health inequalities that they face. One of our newest teams has been IPS, so Individual Placement Support. IPS is an employment service that helps service users to find the type of work they're looking for. So what I mean by that is we don't go and find some factory jobs and we go, right, you need employment, let's put you in this factory job that you're going to hate. And then you're going to do that 12 hours a day. What this team does that's completely different is we find what their employment goal might be. So what does somebody actually enjoy doing? I enjoy painting. Right, how do we get you a job in art? You know, so it's really about understanding the service user employment goals, identifying the service user's strengths and skills so they can focus on jobs that suit them rather than pushing them into employment. And they are very, very different. So we definitely offer employment support, but this isn't the type of employment support that just pushes people into any job. We support service users for 9 months. So this is a 9-month kind of time limit on that. However, they can also then receive a further additional 4-month support whilst they're in employment. So not only do we seek to support people to find that employment, but stay in that employment. So it's really important to us to work with those employers to actually ensure that actually everything is going really well and that that person is settled within that new role. Our recovery community. So Northamptonshire has a thriving recovery community. So what we mean by that is actually there is a group of individuals that are in recovery that are actively shouting about recovery, that should somebody want to get into recovery actually and try and find other people that are in recovery and that are active now. There are lots of places that a person can access that across Northamptonshire. But what we don't do well is we don't shout about the services that we've got. And I feel like if we move forward and can all shine a light on the support that we offer, then more people will know who we are and where they can find us whenever they need us. We attend lots of peer-led activities, such as this was a picture taken from the Recovery Walk in London, September 2024. What's so poignant about is thousands of people are now marching across the country in September. So September is Recovery Month. And it started, a recovery walk started in Hull and is now down in London. Lots of people in recovery getting together and standing together to actually show other people that there are a lot of people in recovery from addiction. Just because you say you're an addict at one point in your life doesn't mean that that will always exist the way, you know, you don't have to identify as an addict for the rest of your life. And there's lots of people in recovery. I think above everything else, I think us as a service believe in people. It's the foundation of the work that we do. Our focus is always on the people who use our services, and we do everything to ensure that we're giving the best service possible. We ensure our people feel supported and valued, always treating them as individuals. We respect and support their choices, finding the right treatment and care options rather than telling them what to do. and we empower our people to reach their goals and live their life to their full potential. Anybody got any questions? Everyone's very, very quiet. Okay, so one of the questions is, where do we find the wraparound events? Sorry, when and where? Chloe, if you want to drop me an email, I'll put my email in the chat, but also it's actually on the end of the slides. If you drop me an email after, I can send those wraparound events out to you. What do you provide for the most chronic conditions? Is there rehab available? Yes and no. So as I said to you before, this year we've had 3,367 people walk through our doors. We have funding for 9 rehab placements. So I don't know percentage wise what that actually equates to, Lee, but it's a very small percentage of people that actually obtain inpatient rehabilitation. What we do offer is we do offer detox. So we offer an inpatient detox. Those two things are quite different. So the inpatient detox is 2 weeks. Someone would typically go to Birmingham or Nottingham. So there are two different places, depending on complexities and life experiences, but also what that person's going through. And they would therefore be clinically taken off, detoxed off of a substance so that they were substance free. So we have a lot of access to detox placements. In fact, we run 4 beds, two in Birmingham, 2 in Nottingham, and we pay for them continuously throughout the year, and then we just self-manage them and put people into those beds. Rehab is a 12-week placement, and like I said, we have 9 available spaces. Lots of rehabs are accessed through the community. So locally, we've got Recovery House. That's benefit funded. So a lot of the rehabs that work through various charities locally will be benefits funded places. People have to apply for them, like self-refer to those to access. But yeah, so there's only 9 funded places. So yes, we do have access to rehab. We would just like it to be more, but that's dictated by the local authority and not us ourselves. Will you be sending the slides out? Yes, you can absolutely have the slides. I am sure that Chloe is able to send them. And then, yeah, equally forward them on at the end of the day. If anybody, if you know anybody or you think that they would benefit from having the slides, you can absolutely forward them on. Equally, please contact me if you or a team that you know that isn't here that would like training. Happy to always offer that and how to refer in. Next question in the chat, is there an upper age limit? No, but we do have to be more careful when detoxing people that are over the age of around 60. So somebody, depending on their life circumstances, there is a point where physically that person is more at danger from stopping taking the substance than they are continuing to take it. So it would be a lot of clinical intervention from our doctors and nurses. So no, there is not an upper age limit, but we would certainly be more careful with somebody that was older, and it would be likely that they would see our nurses opposed to maybe some of our psychosocial interventions, and it's possible that we would have to look at what detox provisions that we were able to offer them. Any other questions? Please whack them in the chat or just unmute and shout them out. I don't mind anything. Anything else? Do you have any organizational goals? Oh yeah. I think without goals, and I think so numbers in treatment at the minute is massive. I think we're working through a 10-year drug strategy. So all of our goals, I suppose, are quite aligned to that drug strategy. Dame Carol Black did a review of drug services and highlighted for us that there were a lot of gaps and areas to really try and look at. One of them is drug-related deaths, so trying to address that. Another would be continuity of care, so trying to in-reach to people in prison so that actually when they're leaving prison, that there's a smoother transition into support services. Rough sleepers, so health inequality, so reducing health inequalities, and then numbers in treatment. So that numbers in treatment, actually what we're trying to do in particular for across Northamptonshire is look at alcohol. So that's our focus area. Opiates we do pretty well on. If we were looking nationally, we're above national average on our retention of opiate clients into treatment. Where Northamptonshire we struggle is actually getting alcohol users to even walk through our doors. It's something that we're looking at and definitely got a focus on for 2025. So yeah. Do Milton Keynes provide similar services to yourselves? Yes. They're slightly different. So they're running a slightly different context. I believe that Milton Keynes are still NHS. So if somebody was wanting support, they would go through primary or secondary care to and sort of say that they needed support. Their clinical service is run by doctors and nurses within the NHS. And then their psychosocial offer is separate. So that's run by the charity, where in Northamptonshire, us as the charity run the clinical element and the recovery support kind of element. Don't know if that answers your question, Dawn. They've got a slightly different service to us for sure. It's kind of set up. Do you find people's friends continue to be? Say that again, sorry, Dawn.
No, that wasn't me. I'm just going to say, yeah, thank you for that information. But I think someone else is asking the next question.
Yeah. It's okay. Do you find people's friends continue to be a poor influence? We support people from hospital who have been free from alcohol, but as soon as they get home to friends, they relapse. I like the fact that you put friends in the sort of quotation marks, because yeah, I wouldn't necessarily call them that either. I think a friend would be saying to somebody that's just come out of hospital, let's take you for a coffee and let's not buy you some alcohol. But yes, what people have to do is understand that it's a lifestyle change. So if you continue to do the same things day in, day out, so we could take those 3,000 service users tomorrow and pick them all up and put them all in detox, and they would all be drug and alcohol free. And then we would ship them back to that same life and wonder why they do the same things that they did pre that detox. It's why our aftercare planning is so important. So one of the things that we really, really work with is aftercare planning. Is actually, if you literally go into going back into that same life, it's going to be the same. You are going to relapse and you're going to just follow those same patterns of behaviour. What we're working with people with is behaviour change. It's so much deeper than what people think, because stopping taking drugs is really easy for 1 second. For 2 seconds, it gets harder. By minute 5, much harder. 10 minutes, 15 minutes, you add a few days, a month onto there. It actually gets harder the longer you try and maintain that. So, it's actually behaviour change that we're working with. What I always say to people is drugs are not the problem. The drugs are the solution to the problem. So the question is, what is the problem? And you need to go behind the drugs and look at what is fueling somebody's drug use in order to be able to help them to stop. So yes, if they go back to that same life, their same friends, their same family, their same problems, their same debts, their same everything, they will 100% relapse, because their issue isn't drugs or alcohol. Their issue is something else. And that is their solution to that problem. It's a coping mechanism. So without dealing with the underlying problems, you wouldn't ever stop somebody from using drugs or alcohol. Likewise, if someone attends the service a few times, then stops attending and disengages, do you follow them up? Yes. We try not to hound them too much because we are a voluntary service. So as long as we know that somebody's okay, safe and well, and has chosen to disengage, then we kind of let them go and do whatever they need to do. So when you're working with behaviour change, you can't force people to change that behaviour. What professionals, families and friends struggle with the most is when they see the problematic behaviours that are coming from drugs and alcohol, and they feel like that person should stop, but they don't. And often that's where the conflict comes, is that we want them to attend a drug and alcohol service because we can see that they need the drug and alcohol service, but they don't acknowledge that. That person needs to acknowledge that their need for drugs and alcohol service in order to be able to engage with them. The one time we do follow people up, I would say in a more forceful, no, I don't think that's the word, but certainly a more measured way would be if they've got on a court order. So we do get orders from court for people to engage with us. So if somebody's been caught for shoplifting, they may be given a drug rehabilitation requirement or something via the courts, and in which case they are court bound to engage with us. But outside of that, it is voluntary. Anyone else got any questions? Yeah, you're gonna get like 15 minutes back. I'll definitely go and get a coffee and tell everybody that you've been in training till 2 o'clock. Just putting out there. I'm going to send those slides out, but like I said, there's the referral line. I've just kind of put the referral link within the chat, so you can just follow that now. My ask is to always copy and paste that and then put that into a direct link on your desktop. I think it makes it really easy then for you to remember who to refer to. Just a comment, I never understood how much the service did. Thank you. Oh, you're welcome. But yeah, there's a referral phone line on there as well, and my email, which again I'll put in there. Anybody feel like they would like to know any more, got any service users that you've got questions about or anything else, just drop me a shout and I'll be in contact.